Well, we're back. I know you guys thought we ran away. Only Rachel ran away, though.
After a 2-week hiatus.
2 week? I was, actually, Rachel was sick first.
Was I?
Yes.
I think that it was just,
No.
It was the long weekend, and we had planned to do, and then we ended up going out for breakfast with my mom, and then we were busy for the rest of the day, and then we just kind of like, life got in the way, we got really busy. And then the next weekend you were sick.
No, you got sick, though.
No, I was not sick.
Yeah, you were.
No.
On Sunday.
No, I wasn't.
I think she was.
I wasn't. It was Travis that was sick.
No.
I never got sick. Last time I was sick was the beginning of January.
Maybe. But anyways, yeah, so we just had a few things going on, so we were kind of just like, and we wanted to do the podcast. But yeah, I was sick. I lost my voice last week-ish, kind of for like basically one night. And then after that, I kind of just felt like I just basically had a cold. And now I'm all good. So now we're back. Episode 16. Guys, if you're listening to this, you guys can watch on Patreon if you guys want to. If you guys want to have us answer questions for you, which reminds me, I just turned off my phone, but I need to turn it back on because I got to get those questions for the people that have the the tier unlocked on Patreon. So if you guys want to ask us questions per podcast, you guys can. You guys have to unlock a certain tier on Patreon, and then you guys can send us questions every week, and we will answer 2 of them each. And then there's also different perks that you guys can get as well too. Crazy enough, we're actually almost at 100 listens on Spotify, which is pretty nuts.
Nice.
That's just on, I believe, on Spotify. It doesn't track anything else as far as I can tell, but we are on every different podcast network. So if you guys are interested in taking a look at that, you guys can get it on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, all that stuff. Now I just got to scroll down and find Trixie. There it is. Okay, so before we start our main topic, we'll talk about that in a second. What is something that people? What is something that? Here, I'll let you read it.
What is something that people are obsessed with, but you just don't get the point of?
What are something that people are obsessed with that you just don't get the point of?
I can predict well, I can think of one thing that I know that you always wonder, but I'm going to let you come up with your own.
Something that people are obsessed with that I don't get the point of. What did you think I was going to say?
Celebrities.
Oh, yes. I don't know why. Yes, celebrities. I am like, not to say I'm like anti-celebrities, because I obviously watch movies and TV shows and stuff, but I don't get the fixation on overindulging like on somebody's life that's like a celebrity, and I don't understand why they need to make so much money. Like I don't understand. You know, imagine telling somebody I won't go on that TV show for less than $15 million an episode. Somebody said to you like, yeah, we need you for 3 hours to make this 30-minute episode, and you're like, I won't do it for less than $15 million. Yeah. Like, why do you deserve? I don't understand.
I don't know, because people
like
are upset because they make the industry a lot of money.
I guess, but it's crazy. Like some celebrities.
I feel the same way about. I mean, not that I don't understand the obsession with sports, but with sports players. Yeah. Like, why do they make so much money?
So a lot of the reasons. So sports actually has a reason for that, and I think it's because sports, you only have such a small window, right?
You could say the same about acting, though, too, at a certain extent.
Not necessarily, no.
Especially for women. A lot of women, once you hit a certain age, you only get cast into very specific, like, mom-type roles. Yeah. And you lose a lot of, like, you can't do, like, half the roles anymore because they just want young, hot women in movies. So.
I mean, same for men, too. Like, you don't see it, like, sometimes, like, perfect example was... and
also, a lot of careers are short-lived because people get bored of you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, Jim Carrey is a perfect example. Like, he fell off the map, and I think they started bringing him back for like little films here and there, and they weren't doing so well because like obviously like he's older and he's probably lost his drive and stuff. And
yeah, you do like one bad movie and then like your
your career's like done for. So but I think for me it's like if you're doing a TV show and you're asking for $15 million an episode, like a perfect example was when they were doing who was it talking? It's the one with the guy who like did a bunch of drugs and then he had to get put off the show.
There's so many people that you could be talking about right now.
And then,
what show was he on? What kind of show was it?
It was 2.5 Men. That's what it was.
Charlie Sheen?
Uh-huh. And he was getting something like some crazy amount per episode to do. And then he just like went off the rails, and they were like, okay, we're gonna get somebody else. But like that's crazy how much they're paying him. So.
But that's not your main complaint. Your main
No,
complaint is you don't understand why people are obsessed with celebrities.
Yes.
And like especially when celebrities like pass away, why they're like so much more concerned about that than when like if you read in the newspaper that someone died.
Yeah, I know.
It's like you don't even know that person.
No, I think the sad thing is like when you get under like the spotlight, people over obsess about you like big time. Like they're
because people idolize your life.
Yes,
celebrities.
exactly.
That's what it is with celebrities. Is you want to be them, so then people obsess over them.
Yeah.
Because they think that like wow, look at them, they're rich and
I actually
beautiful.
like when Netflix casts like no name celebrities, like people that are just coming out of the like out of nowhere, because I feel like more connected with the show than I would if it was like a big name celebrity in there. Like a perfect example was, I complain about this all the time. In Mandalorian, instead of choosing like a badass brand new villain, they chose Fring from Breaking Bad. Mm-hmm. And I was like, as soon as I saw him, I immediately like my brain just went back to Breaking Bad, and I was like, I can't.
It's called suspension of disbelief. So you can't suspend your disbelief that it's not real, or that it is real if you recognize the actor, because you're like, I know that's an actor because I've seen him in other things.
Yeah, like I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying that why didn't they just choose some random other person? Like I don't understand like why it has to be that. Like the Mandalorian, which is I forget his name on Game of Thrones, but anyways, he's from Game of Thrones and he's a really good actor. So I'm not saying that Fring's not a bad actor. I'm just saying that like he's a good actor and he doesn't really show his face too much in Game of Thrones. So I never really I associate him with him, but he didn't play like such a drastic role. So I think that's just how it is for me. But I guess what I'm saying is that like they could have just showed somebody random and it would have been like, wow, like cool. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like give somebody a chance. You know what I mean? I think that's the thing is when they're thinking about it, they're probably like, oh, people will hear that Fring's back as like a bad villain and he played a really good villain in Breaking Bad. And I think if you give somebody random a chance, like they might be like, well, what if they don't play the role right and we're halfway through or something like that? You know what I mean? You never know. So, but that's my taste. What about you?
I don't know. I don't understand people's obsession with like cruise ships. People who go on cruise ships and they're just like obsessed with. Like I just don't get it. Like why do you want to be stuck on a boat in the middle of the ocean with like 2,000 other people?
I think the idea is like you're not stuck in the ocean. You go to different islands, right?
Yeah, I just don't get it. The whole concept of it stresses me out.
Well, I think it's not for everybody, right? Just like vacationing sometimes is not for everybody. I mean, I think I'm the same way too. Like, I don't know if I would want to go on a cruise ship and be stuck. I have like this fear of like, ever since the Titanic, I'm like, well, if ever on a boat and something happened, like I'm sure they're like super prepared.
You see all those videos too of like, oh, like a wave hit it and it like kind of like went sideways, or like it crashed into a rock like while coming in too close to the shore, or like.
But nobody got hurt on
the septic system stopped working.
I know.
Like
I know.
Just
so many weird things. Yeah.
Yeah.
What weird food combinations do you really enjoy?
Back when I used to be a teenager, I worked at Arby's. If you guys have, I don't know if that's just a Canadian restaurant. Is Arby's everywhere?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, I worked at Arby's. This is going back like 15 years ago. And I used to always take the bacon that they put on the sandwiches and then take a slice of pickle and wrap the bacon around the pickle and just eat that.
I could see
and
that.
it was so good. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Like that's my weirdest like food combination craving that I would just snack on that, like, which you're not supposed to do. But I was a teenager and I feel like everyone does that.
What do you think was my weird food craving?
You have some weird food combinations. You used to the weirdest thing I've seen him eat that I still think about to this day, and I'm like, why did you do that? Is I made pierogies one time and you ate them with maple syrup.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good.
And I was like, that's
they were like
disgusting.
Bacony pierogies that I dipped in maple syrup, and I thought that was really amazing. I used to actually dip my pizza in mayo. And that was something that I did for about a good, 6 months.
Travis is weird with any kind of sauce. Like, I think we've talked about this before. Like, you just always have to dip something in something. You can't just eat it how it is.
Sauce is like my life.
Or with a normal
if somebody hands me like a burger and they're like, yeah, there's nothing on it. Like, it's just cheese. And they're like, the whatever, the spices and stuff, you don't need any sauce. I'd be like, no. You know what I mean? Like, I have to drench it. Not drench it. I'm not.
Drench.
No.
He'll drench it and then he'll put a pile of whatever that sauce is on his plate to then dip it in for each bite.
Usually that is the case. I'm trying to think of my craziest. I mean, I have a big obsession with like pepperonis and stuff, but not so much anymore because I've kind of like died off of that. But I've been like, because my stomach can't take it anymore.
No.
My stomach's had enough. I used to buy like a big bag of like 50 pepperonis and eat them all in like one night.
Oh.
And like the next day, I remember
Your insides are just pickled at this point.
I just remember like doing it multiple times, and like the next day it's gonna be really bad. And like I'd be at work and I'd be like, like it was like worse than being hungover. Yeah, pretty bad. But anyways, on to our main topic. We are going to be talking about pre-wedding podcast. We did promise that we have 3 major topics coming up. We're going to do pre-wedding. Then we're going to be doing the wedding day, I think. Yeah. And then there was 2 other podcast topics that we're going to do as well, too. So rather than doing our breakdown podcast, we want to do a few like full episode podcasts where we just talk about one topic and kind of give you like the rundown.
Well, we did one all about anxiety, and that was fun to do.
Yeah, I love that anxiety one.
And I don't think we've ever really, I mean, while we got engaged in the year and a half that we planned the wedding, I'm sure on your stream you would talk about things here and there.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've ever really told anyone like the whole start to finish like planning process.
No.
And 7 months out from the wedding, I think we can give a good overview of everything that went into it.
I think so.
Which was a lot.
Where do you want to start?
I have a little layout here. So I would say we could start before we even got engaged.
Yeah.
So we knew we wanted to get married like, I don't know. I think that like when you're with someone for a long time, or at least you hope you would know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't imagine ever having been with someone and being like, it's a complete surprise that you want to get married.
Yeah.
You know how people might be like, I had no idea that like we even were gonna get married. Like that sounds weird to me. Like I think that it's something you discuss. Like I think we'd like to get married one day. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he had no idea what kind of ring I would like, and I didn't really know. So we. Like, I don't know, this was probably 6 months before we even got engaged. Mm-hmm. We'd go around and look at, like, different styles and stuff.
Yeah.
So we kind of, like, picked it out together in a sense, but I didn't know what the final product would look like.
No.
And you can talk more about what you went into to pick the ring.
Well, so I was, so before I met Rachel, like my last relationship was like, the same situation where we were kind of like together for a long time, and she just mentioned about like knowing, and like at one point I was kind of like, okay, like you see this kind of getting too far, and like when I met Rachel I was like, okay, definitely like this is going to be the thing, this is where we're going to live our life together and all this stuff, and I knew. But I was like, me and Rachel would always get into conversations where Rachel's like, well, I hope we're going to get married soon, and I'd be like, yeah, we are. I think for me, not that commitment scares me, but I think it's like, I think it was kind of just like a thing, and I was like, okay, like I just got to make sure that I do it right, and like, but I didn't want to feel rushed into it, but not that Rachel was rushing me at all at any point. But what ended up happening one day was I was at work, and Rachel's parents they came to deliver. I don't know what type of food.
I think they brought you food.
I think they brought me food for like some random reason.
Because they love him more than they love me, and they drive
like,
out and bring him food.
They literally drove an hour to just deliver me food. They're like, here's some food. They do it all the time.
I would like to mention too, they drove by my work. Did not stop and give me food, but continued on to bring Travis food.
So they stop at my work, and they're like, here's some food, like blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, sounds good. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm like, I think it's time. So like I ran to the car, and like her dad's like, is everything okay? And I'm like, oh yeah, can you come out the car for a second? He's like, okay. And then I asked him, and like I said all the stuff, and he was just like, boy. and then I was like, okay, bye now. Thanks again for the food.
Wasn't Donna like, what's happening?
Yeah, and like Rachel's stepmom was just like going crazy. It was just really funny. So yeah, that happened, and then
I had told him my only criteria really for a ring was that I wanted it to be solitaire.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to have like a halo, and I don't think those are bad. Just like for myself, from what I had tried on, that's what I liked, was just a solitaire, no diamonds around the side, just like a plain band with like maybe something underneath, like, to make it fancy a little bit.
You just make it sound at first you're like, all I really want is and then like it goes on for a while.
But we couldn't find anything like that.
Yeah. So then I was just like, I went to the place with a friend, and then I was like, I'll take it. And then it was just like, and then the thing is, you got to wait for it, because you got to wait for it to come in and all this stuff.
But didn't you have them like make it like the side
Yeah,
part?
yeah. So like you kind of can custom make it. The thing is when you're picking out a ring is like most people, like I'm not saying that most people, but I'm saying you never want to pay like the price that you see right away. You always kind of be like, okay, you know, how about this? Or I'm only looking to spend this, but I want to get,
a bit,
you know, and kind of like, and that's kind of what I did. And then eventually she was like, well, why don't we take this from here and here and here and here and then put it together? And I was like, perfect. So then you had to wait for it to come in, and so that was like a huge process of waiting and waiting and waiting.
It
might be too far away. Yeah.
Anything, huh?
Yeah. So that was the process of waiting and then planning. So the biggest thing is what I did was if you guys have ever watched the episode of The Office when Michael asks Holly to marry him. Well, he does it in the office where everyone's holding like a candle, and they're all holding a candle, and then they walk in, and she's like, "Oh my God, blah blah blah." So because me and Rachel always watch The Office like every year, like all the time, and at that time she's always like, "Oh my God." So I was like, "Okay, like this is perfect." So I planned it around, and I said, "Okay, everybody needs to meet me at the house like a long time before, like, we're gonna have Rachel go with her sister out to like the bookstore."
I was supposed to go with Daniela.
Or sorry, she was supposed to go with her friend to like the bookstore or something, and then they were gonna come back, and they were all gonna surprise her. And what ended up happening was at the last minute, Rachel's like, "Oh, I don't feel like I want to go anywhere today." And I'm like, "Ah!"
It was a Sunday morning, and Nick and Rob, which you guys, if you watch D&D, would know, the DM and Pippin, they had stayed over. We'd been up really late watching movies and stuff. And then in the morning, I was making them breakfast like their mother. I was just like, "Sure, thanks, blah, blah, blah." And as I'm cooking breakfast, I was like in my pajamas, and I was like, I don't want to go out to the bookstore. Like, I kind of just want to hang out with everyone and just, like, hang out at home and just relax. And so I texted Danielle, and I was like, "Hey, I'm sorry, but I'm going to cancel. Like, I'm not really in the mood of going to the bookstore." And she messaged back me, like, "Oh, that's too bad. Okay." And then, little did I know on the other hand.
So then I was like bombarding her sister, and I was like, "You have to tell her that she has to go. Like, you have to tell her." And so her sister's like, "Come on, let's go." And she's
my younger sister literally was like, "Hey, I'm gonna stop by," and she like rushed over to the house. She had just moved back. She had been living away. She didn't just move back.
Which is lucky she did that. So then she came and pick up Rachel.
She was like, "You don't have a choice. You're coming with me. I want to show you my new apartment I'm staying in." And she was like, "Get dressed and like put some makeup on because like I want to take like a cute picture together or something." And I was like so annoyed. I was like, I don't.
And I'm like freaking out because I'm like, people are going to be here in like a half an hour. So she leaves, and then people start arriving, and everyone gets there, and like we all handle each of them a candle, and then she like comes back in, and then she walked in, and that's when I was like, you know, did all this stuff.
I had no idea. I was really grumpy.
Yeah.
I was just like glad to be back home. You had asked me to get you Starbucks, so I was like carrying in Starbucks.
Yeah.
And I walked inside, and I was like, what the? Like, I just couldn't like comprehend what was happening. I was very confused because nobody parked like in front of our house. I think everyone parked around the block or something.
Yeah.
So there was no cars in the driveway or anything to indicate that there was more than just you at home.
Yeah. Like our friends that stayed over, they basically like went around the corner, waited for Rachel to leave, then came right back.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah.
And then everyone stayed for a little bit, and my stepmom made cake, and we all had cake. And
yep. It was really good.
It was a nice little Sunday.
Very nice. I think we have a video of it somewhere, but
there is somewhere, but it's personal.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not something I want to share with everyone.
No, I'm just saying. Yeah. But
okay. So I don't know. One of the first things that like we wanted to plan, or that you kind of have to plan when you're planning a wedding, is like picking a venue. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know about everywhere, but like in our area, things book up like a year and a half, 2 years in advance sometimes.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing kind of that we did planning wise, was pick a venue.
Yeah, and we wanted to like, there was this cool place that we went to that basically like we met there for, that's like where we went on our first date, so it was really cool. And we didn't want to have something like massive. Like we wanted to have somewhere like kind of small, but like not too super small. It's like big enough where we could have a decent amount of people, but more so just so we can have like a good time, like a party kind of thing. So
yeah, we've been to lots of weddings at super big venues at, but we wanted it to feel like personal, like close family and friends kind of feeling.
Yeah, something that like resembles like what we like kind of thing. So.
Yeah, and not anything that needed too much decoration. Like some of these big halls are really stunning, like the big rooms, but then it's like, okay, you have to fill that room. Like, you have to put stuff everywhere to make it look like a wedding. Otherwise, it just feels like you're in this big empty space.
Yeah.
And that was just, like, we definitely wanted to have, like, I guess you could say, like, a budget wedding.
Yeah.
We didn't want to throw, like, you know, tens of thousands of dollars at something.
Yeah.
As much as we wanted a nice day, like, you know, on a budget. So we ended up choosing, like, a golf course, which was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And the restaurant on the golf course is where we had everyone. And it had recently been redone, so it was really nice inside. And
Yeah, it was really nice.
a really good size. It was not too big, not too small. And the dance floor and the bar were really pretty.
Yeah. Yeah, they had like a really good setup, but then it was kind of crazy that they actually had them there because we got lucky. We were like, "Do you guys have weddings here?" And they're like, "Yeah, we do." We're like, "Ooh."
Yeah, and we go there all the time in the summer, especially because they have a really nice patio.
And really good calamari.
Yeah, and really good food. So what's nice about it too is that the restaurant and then like the golf course is the whole back view, and it's really beautiful. But then they have this patio that wraps all the way around the side, and it's got fireplaces and like outdoor seating and all kinds of stuff, and all of that was like part of the whole deal.
Thing, yeah.
So that was like really nice because it was going to be like a really nice summer night. So people could be outside, they could be inside.
Mm-hmm. It was really good.
So that was literally the only place that we went and saw.
Yeah, we didn't like Damon Bother.
Yeah, like we had other places written down to like check out. But
well, I said to Rachel, I'm like, I've always wanted to get married in like this gigantic, like old school church.
Yeah.
Like I wanted like a, you know, like where you're like, whoa, like it's so antique looking. And then she was like, no, you have to like take lessons or something.
You have to be, like, you can't just go.
Well, some of them you can.
I mean, it would have to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Like united or something.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of the churches in this area, especially the ones that he's talking about, are Catholic churches.
Yeah.
And in a Catholic church, in order to get married at a Catholic church, you have to be Catholic.
Yeah, so
neither of us are Catholic, so we would have to literally be baptized and then take marriage courses just to get married in that church.
Yeah, and I was
were
like,
nah.
nah, we don't do that.
So yeah, so we decided to book that, and that's where we would hold the ceremony and the reception.
Yeah.
Which was really nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, that honestly was easier than we thought it was going to be.
It was, yeah.
Or at least easier than I thought it was going to be. I thought we were going to have to like go to 10 different places before we chose. But,
I know.
But no, and they ended up having, what's funny is we like went, and then she emailed us some pictures of like previous weddings that had been held there, and I was like, yeah, that works. And then she's like, oh, we have these dates available, because we originally wanted fall.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until, we wanted like September-ish, but it wasn't until like late October that they had an available date, and we're like, man, it's kind of cold. And she's like, okay, we have August 31st. So we're like, okay, we'll choose that. And then like, I don't know, a couple days later, we realized that that was actually, the date would be 5 years to the day of the day we met.
Yeah.
Because we met on August 31st, 5 years before that.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy.
Like, it was kind of unplanned. It just worked out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Picking a photographer was another thing that was like, we did really early on.
I didn't even really.
No, honestly, in our area, again, photographers are very expensive. And the majority of the photographers that I had already been kind of like looking at and following, I would look on their websites and they'd be like, starting packages, $5,000. And I'd be like, nope, I'm not paying that.
Not to mention, like, we were talking about, like, a videographer.
At the time, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that'd be kind of cool. And then when she told me the price about that, too, I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah, so expensive. So I ended up just kind of searching through hashtags on Instagram, like, Windsor, Essex, photographer, wedding, blah, blah, blah. And up came this young girl in her 20s, and she had not done a wedding before, but she'd done tons of different, like, couple and family pictures. She was just kind of starting out. And so I asked her if she'd be willing to shoot our wedding, and she was like, yeah. And she gave us a really, really good price because it was the first one she'd ever done. And
it was kind of cool because I remember that she was supposed to leave at like one time, like she was supposed to leave at a certain time at the wedding, but she stayed later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she ended up finding like a second shooter to come with her, and it was only like a couple $100 extra for the day, so that we could do the guys and the girls getting ready. But we'll talk about that when we talk about the actual wedding.
Yeah.
But yeah, she did an engagement shoot and everything, and maybe we can put some pictures up on the Patreon or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Of like some wedding or some engagement shots or something.
Okay.
But yeah, she honestly did such a good job. I'm so happy with our pictures.
Yeah, it was good. It's kind of scary, like, having somebody, like, brand new that's never done a wedding before, because you're like, okay, are they going to be reliable? Are they going to be there? Because, like, no reviews, right? It's like when you're starting out a company and, like, you gotta wait for that first customer to come in and be like, they did a great job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
But I think she was also, like, any of the meetings that I had with her, she was also very eager to, like, do a good job.
Yeah.
You know, like, you don't want to mess up your first wedding. So she was just like super dedicated and super like enthusiastic about doing exactly what we wanted.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
Dress shopping,
You can do suit shopping first. 'Cause I just talked a bunch.
So for the suit shopping, I wanted to have like a modern style, you know, tapered, like, you know, tight, kind of, like nice fit, like blue, dress.
Suit.
Or suit, sorry. Dress. I wore a dress. But, yeah, so we went to a few different places and kind of came together on like a different kind of style, and it was really cool. I mean, like it worked out really well. We actually kind of just basically went in and like picked the first thing we saw, which worked out really good.
Well, you know, you went to a couple different stores.
We did,
at the
yeah.
mall.
See, the debate of either renting suits or buying, basically renting, you're almost pretty much buying it anyways. So I was like,
price that you pay.
the thing is when you're renting, you are renting like higher end suits. But the thing is that they're rented, and like you're basically putting money into nothing. And if you lose it, or if you rip it, or if anything happens to it, you basically have to pay for it. Yeah. So why not just buy it and just, you know,
have a suit? You know you're going to go to more
exactly.
weddings.
Like I've used it since then, like 4 or 5 times. So it's been great. But yeah. So I mean, that's what we ended up doing. We got like everybody. Like how many people did we have in our?
So you had all the groomsmen, so there was 5, and you,
so
and
6.
then I came too because he wanted my opinion.
Yeah, so it was really good, and we got it all done like in one day, which is kind of like surprising.
Talk about the ties.
Yeah, so the different ties that we had were, I was gonna mention that. Was everybody had their own red ties, and then like we had like a darker kind of like a shiny red, and then on mine I had a red with like little white flowers on it. It was really cool.
Kind of had to talk him into it. He wasn't so sure about it, but I was like, you should stand out.
We were thinking about having like bow ties at first, and then I was like, nah, I didn't really like it. But
you always say when you put a bow tie on that you feel like a waiter.
I do. Like I don't know what it is about bow ties. I really want to like bow ties, but
they
I just
look
can't.
good. I just can't. For some reason he doesn't feel right.
I know. I'm like I don't want to go there and be like.
I was kind of like, as long as it was, because the wedding colors were that dark, deep wine red.
Yeah.
And then the suits were like a navy blue, and then there was like an accent color of like a forest green.
Yeah, we posted some of the pictures in Discord after, but.
I'll post some more in the Patreon Discord as well, like kind of once we post this episode.
For sure.
But so I was like, as long as the ties are that like deep red color, like whatever you like, like just pick what you like.
Yeah.
Because you have to, you're the one who has to feel like good.
Yeah.
And then you also decided to get a vest with yours.
Yep. And then that was a good choice as well too.
Yeah, that looked really nice. I liked the vest a lot.
Yeah.
Because then you could like take off your jacket and still look fancy.
Tell me about dress shopping now.
Dress shopping. I didn't bring all my bridesmaids just because I didn't want to feel too overwhelmed with too many opinions. I had my 2 sisters, I had my mom, my stepmom, and Travis's mom. So I had lots of opinions to begin with, and I kind of told them before I went in because I was pretty nervous. Like, there's literally so many, I don't know, different from suits, I would say, there's so many different styles.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's only a certain number of styles when it comes to suits. Like, they're all fairly similarly cut.
Yeah.
Dresses, it's like there's hundreds of different styles, and you have no idea, like, until you try it on, what you're getting yourself into.
I kept asking, I'm like, so what does it look like?
And they're extremely expensive.
Yeah, they are.
And, like, I was extremely lucky that my mom paid for my dress for me. So.
The thing is, like, if you think about it, a wedding dress, you're only going to wear it once.
Whereas suits, you can wear more than once.
Whereas suits, you wear more. Like, I don't understand.
It's silly.
You know,
it's
I don't
silly.
understand the idea of them charging so much money for that.
Mine, honestly, was, like, not that expensive compared to others I tried on.
Yeah, but I don't understand, like... I mean, the idea is, like, yeah, like, it can be, like, amazing. It's probably a lot to do and put together and stuff.
They are extremely intricate, like, the beading and everything that goes into them.
I guess that's the point, right? Yeah. Handmade and, like...
And they're made, like, custom order. Like, it's not like there's a bunch sitting in a warehouse. Like, literally, you order it, and then they make it.
That's probably why they charge so much.
But it was really, really fun. I tried on, like, I basically went in there, and had some reference pictures, and I was like, this is what I think I'm gonna like. But also, I want to try one of, like, every style.
Yeah.
So, like, I tried on, like, a super, like, sleek, tight one. And I put that one on, and I was like, it looks good. But the minute I have, like, a single bite of pasta, I'm going to feel fat in this. You know, like, it would show every single, like, piece of food that you ate.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to be so self-conscious if I wear this. I tried on, like, a super big ball gown that literally could stand up on its own. Like, I took it off, and it just, like, stood.
That's cool.
Because it had so much, like, poof that it was insane. I was like, I won't be able to fit through the tables if I wear this, but it was just fun to like try it on. I tried on ones that were like strapless, like backless, this and that. And like, I don't want to sound like braggy, but like it was hard because almost all of them looked good. Like there wasn't really one that I tried on that I was like, ooh, this is horrible on me. Like they all were super
The poofy one would have been amazing if you chose that. I think I would have been like,
someone somewhere has pictures of it.
Yeah.
Like my mom has pictures somewhere, and I can show you now that the wedding's over. All the ones I tried on.
I definitely want to see it.
And what's funny is the poofy one I ended up coming back to. In the end, I had like 2 or 3 that I was kind of choosing between. And she was, because I really liked the top of it. And she was like, well, we can take a whole bunch of the skirt out so it's not so big.
Yeah.
But it would have needed like a lot of altering. And it was pretty expensive to begin with. So I was like, no, I'm not going to spend all this money when I don't even like it like how it is.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So... Anyway, so I tried out all these ones, and then I had like 2 or 3 that I was very like, I don't know, like I wasn't really ready to make a decision. And the dress consultant was like, I have an idea. She's like, I think I know like what it is you're looking for based on like, because I was like, I like the top of this one, and I like the back of this one, and I like the bottom of this one, but I don't like any of those like on their own enough to say like, yeah, I want this dress. So she went upstairs and she came down, and it was ended up being the dress I chose. She was like, I think this has everything that you're talking about. So I put it on, and as soon as I put it on, it literally was like, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah. And I wanted it to have like straps, so I wasn't like pulling it up all the time. And it had a really nice like A-line. It wasn't too poofy. It wasn't too tight. It had like a nice little train on it. It had all this cool beading, and it was really unique. Like I'd never seen anyone else with a dress like that before, like the style of it. So I really, really loved it, and yeah. It was fun. And then I just had to wait like 7 months for it to come in. Yeah. I got it in August, and it didn't come in until like the winter. And you almost like forget. Like, and then you have to go in and you have to get like a million different fittings. And bring it to a seamstress and this and that. And yeah. I ended up not bringing it home until like the day before the wedding, because I was like, I can't trust that he's not going to look at it.
I would never look at it, but I would be like, is that it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he would always like, if we would go in the weddings that we went to in between, he'd be like, is your dress like that one?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, no, it's not. And it wasn't really like any of those. Who did you choose for your groomsmen and why?
Well, just because like they're all my close friends.
Yeah.
You know. So I had pretty much like, if you watch D&D, like the entire D&D group except for Rob. So we've
been friends for so long with all these people.
Yeah.
That's why we play D&D.
That's why we play D&D with them, and we hang out with them like every weekend. And then I had my best friend like since like long, you know,
Grade
forever
1,
ago.
Yeah.
And then another friend that we had as well too. So,
yeah.
So it was really good. And I mean, why did I choose them? Because they're our friends.
Yeah.
You know, we're close together.
I had my 2 sisters, like I've said. I had my maid of honor, Daniela, who plays D&D with us. And then I had your best friend's wife, who I've known since she was actually like 5 years old, because she was friends with my sister growing up. And then I had another friend as well. So we ended up having 5 on each side, which was kind of a big wedding party, but it was a lot of fun.
It was good.
I liked it because I felt like we're just best friends with everyone who's in it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like there was nobody who was in it because we felt like we had to put that person in.
Yeah, or like the last minute, like, oh, you know.
Yeah, like everyone was just like
was good.
Down to have a really good time.
Flower shopping, oh my god.
So I put this in here because I knew that you were gonna. This is like one of the things that Travis like came with to do. Like a lot of the decorations I did on my own because he's not interested, but like this he came with. And
if you ever get a chance, don't go flower shopping.
But here's okay. So I started looking at florists because I wanted flowers for the tables and for the bridesmaids and everything. It was going to be so expensive. And same, it's not like you get to keep them, they die.
Right. So the idea was that they wanted to go to the States, and I was like, and Rachel was like, well, you don't have to come if you don't want to, but it is for a wedding. And I was like, I know. I was like,
and also, he needed to pick out what flowers he wanted for his boutonnieres. I was like, I can pick them. I can pick them, but like, don't you want to have a say in that?
So I was like, yeah, you know what? We're going to the States. Like, you know, we don't go over there that often. We're going to go have like breakfast. It'd be good.
Yeah, because we decided to do, just as a disclaimer, silk flowers. My stepmom is fantastic at like doing arrangements and stuff. She makes us wreaths and all the time. So she did a lot of flowers, which were absolutely beautiful.
We go over there and like we get to like the first store, and the first store like takes like an hour and a half to choose like 3 things, and then this is basically copy and pasted between each store, and I'm just like, oh my god. I remember it was like the longest day of just picking out flowers, and I was like, well, like, I mean, I did enjoy it, like it wasn't like, oh my god, but it was just the longest day. But I mean, in the end they turned out amazing, so I can't really
And we
argue.
also saved about $2,000.
Yeah, like the cool thing is that it's right, like you're right, like why get real ones when you can get fake ones and they last? Like, we still have them, you know?
We have like 2 arrangements like on our above
So
our
they
kitchen
look-
cupboards,
yeah.
and I have like one of the bridesmaid bouquets like in a vase in the bathroom.
So they look good, and you get to keep them, and you can give them away to people, and they just last forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, it did make a lot of sense. So if you guys get a chance, you know, we went to, like, places like, I think, Michael's, and
Hobby Lobby,
a bunch of different places.
Joanne Fabrics.
They all had competing prices because they were like, go to the store and pick out one thing. But the thing that was crazy is that when Rachel wanted to pick her bridesmaids like thing that they hold, what is it? Bouquets there. They literally had 5 at like one place, and we were missing. Or sorry, 4. They had 4, and we were missing 1. And we were like, "Are you kidding me?" So we bought 4 of them, and then we had to go to 2 other alternate places. Like, because there was one Michael's that only had 4, and that's all they had in the entire store. And we went to another one, and I think we found 1. I think it was we found 1.
Yeah.
And
I think we ended up buying 1 extra or something.
Yeah,
just
we got
in
1
case.
extra. And it was crazy. I was like, what? Like, come on. Like, what are the kids?
But it was like, okay, the seamstress, the florist wanted to charge for just greenery, like just greens, and like 1 flower in it, something like $50 per bridesmaid. We got these beautiful bouquets that had flowers and greenery in them in the exact colors I was looking for, on sale for $2 each.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, are you kidding? We ended up spending like less than a quarter of what we would have spent on a florist.
Yeah, that was good. Good stuff.
And nobody can tell just looking at it that they're silk flowers unless they reach out and they touch it.
But I mean, that day I learned that I absolutely love Hobby Lobby. It's like
you got ornaments.
Hobby Lobby is where I went and I got my like little tree for my stream, and I got a bunch of bulbs. If you guys ever get a chance to go to Hobby Lobby, great place, amazing. I would go there again tomorrow. Picking the food and the alcohol, I mean, it was more so like just like we sat down, they showed like a gigantic menu, and it's kind of crazy when you think about it because you're like, oh, that sounds good, but you're like got to think about like, you know, in the end, like how it's going to be, because like it gets pricey, right? Like it gets pretty pricey.
They'll have different like options basically. Like option 1 is $32 per person, and includes these things. Option 2 is $42 per person, and it gets like fancier as you go up.
Yeah.
And then there's different styles. There's either, do you want plated, or do you want family style, or do you want like where they come on your invites you have to write like chicken or steak, like what do you know.
And for me, I knew that I wanted to have like a late night dinner, and I was like, people are gonna get hungry. Most people have like pizza. They had gourmet hot dogs, and I was like, hell yeah. And like that was like such a good idea.
Yeah, so we did.
I didn't even get one.
I know, me neither. I was too like
everybody
hectic.
I like went to go get one. They were like, oh, they're already gone. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was gourmet hot dogs, so it had all of the like, you could make a chili dog, you could make it, had like all the toppings, and then French fries, so you could make chili fries too. So that was like the 11 o'clock, and we were kind of worried because we've been to a lot of weddings where a bunch of people leave at like 10.
Yeah.
I guess we can talk about that when we talk about the wedding.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were like worried that no one's gonna eat them, but it was a big hit for sure.
But it worked out really well.
And then for food, we just had like your normal family style. We had roast beef, chicken, potatoes, salad. We had pasta, but instead of just the regular pasta, you chose
pesto.
Yeah,
it was really good.
And like, it looked amazing. I couldn't have it because it had cheese on it. I had normal pasta for me, but I would what was I gonna say? Bachelor and bachelorette weekends.
Oh yeah.
So I didn't want to do anything big for my bachelorette weekend because I didn't want to like our one friend was having a baby who was in the wedding, and then my one sister, she lives like out of town, and then my other sister was working a lot. It would have ended up being like only 3 of us. And what I wanted to do, which was go to this like horse ranch that I've been to before, where you can stay over, like it's like a bed and breakfast, and you ride horses. I had so much fun there. We wanted to do that, but in order to do it, if it's like a bachelorette party, they were going to charge us way too much money. So I ended up just doing a like night out kind of thing where we went and we did like a cooking class and we did an escape room. And it was really nice. I didn't do anything crazy. I didn't go away for a weekend or anything, but I was really happy with it because I had a good time. And
for mine, I went to Montreal.
Yeah. And then Travis.
Mine, I was like, I'm going. So we went to, so a long time ago, we booked to go to Montreal. because I've never been. I heard it's amazing there, and it is great. Oh my god! And but then literally we were out to eat, and my best man was like, "Hey, like we're pregnant," and like they were having like a child, so. He was
Maybe
like,
it was due the weekend
that I was going.
The trip was
so
booked, yeah.
he's like, I can't go, and I was like, oh my god. So that was a little bit of like a downer, but I mean, it ended up being like amazing. We went to Montreal. We actually coincided with Comic-Con. What was there was so cool,
Montreal
man.
Comic-Con.
Dude, so cool. Comic-Con is amazing. If you guys get a chance to go to any Comic-Con in your area, you really should go. And so. It was massive. We spent like a ton of money there. We stayed at. It's kind of crazy when we got to the hotel. We're like, hi, like we went to check in, but it was under my best man's like credit card. So when we got there, they're like, he has to be here, and I'm like, no, he doesn't. Like I already called ahead, and like the manager's like, well. Like, can you call him? And I'm like, yeah. Like, here's his number, and like I had it off by heart. Like I already knew his number. And they're just like, oh, okay, you're fine. Like, you can go in. I'm like, yeah, Dan's gonna show up and be like, hello, who has my room?
Yeah.
But it was really fun. And then we went to like a bunch of different places in Montreal. Like Montreal smoked meat is amazing. We went to a bunch of different restaurants there. Like the food in Montreal was like so good. It was really, really good.
Montreal has really good food.
Yeah, they had like a ton of. We went to a dumpling place and that was amazing.
Didn't you go there twice?
No, we only went there once.
No.
But yeah, so that was really fun. I'm trying to think of what else we did.
You did the go-karts.
Yeah, I'll get there. we went to Old Montreal that had like a really nice. It was the Notre Dame, I think it was, right?
Notre Dame Basilica.
Yes, and like you go in there, and obviously it's just like super beautiful, like how the church looks, right? But now the thing is that was very touristy because the line was like massive. Like I think we waited in line about 2 hours, and the thing is that. There was this other church that before you got there that was even better because it wasn't really like a line to get in, and it felt very quiet and like it felt like it was more of like just you weren't there to wait in line. You were just walked in and kind of like got to stand and see. So like the buildings and stuff are just amazing there. It's like really, really cool. And the go-karts, yeah, we wanted these like go-karts that just went super duper fast. Basically, I think they went up to like 50 miles per hour. But I mean, you're going a smaller track, so you can't go super duper fast. But it was really, really fun. I mean, if you guys get a chance to go to Montreal, definitely go.
Did you get like super dirty from all the rubber flying out?
Yeah, so when we first went on the go-karts, they're like, you should wear your visor. And I was like, I'm not going to wear a visor. Wear a visor. Because like they're go-karts that you would imagine for Mario Kart where like the tires are like go-kart tires. So they're not just like the regular like kind of thin ones, right? So all the like debris and everything is like flying in my eyes like while you're driving like really fast. So like I got out and I'm just like picking stuff out of my eyes, and I was just like covered in like soot and stuff like that. But it was really fun, man. It was really good. At one point they had they had one of like the coworkers that was there. He brought like a bunch of his friends, and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go on the track." And like we were like, "Oh, we're gonna sit out for a minute," because it's like you get like really boiling in there because it's like super hot. And then they just demolished the carts, and they ended up getting kicked out. Basically, they were like racing against each other, and then their one guy like decided to go in between them, and he like ramped up over the other person's cart, and they're all they have like this like gigantic like red light that they go off that if anybody breaks any rules. And so they just shut the place down and had to remove them. But it was really fun. There's so many other things about Montreal, but it was a great time.
Yeah.
So that was mine.
While he was gone, I spent the whole weekend making stuff for the wedding.
Yeah.
Because I did almost all the decorations myself. So like making the seating chart and like making stuff for the center of the tables and putting candles together on candlestick holders and all kinds of stuff. I literally just spent the whole weekend crafting stuff for the wedding.
Yeah.
And then like that was right before we moved. That was like a couple weeks before we moved.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy because we were like, okay, we're going to get married. And then I'm like, oh, hey, I want to buy a house. I want to buy like a different house. Mm-hmm. And like that was like just crazy because you had to move, and then we had the wedding show.
We moved 1 month before the wedding.
Yeah, which is probably not a good recommendation to do because it's very stressful. And then after you're just like, oh. And we decided that we weren't going to actually go on like a honeymoon because we're going to save and not go, which was a dumb move because like you should really go away after your wedding. I think like our idea was, well, do we really need a vacation? But like you do.
Well, the discussion was we either get a house or we get a honeymoon, and it was like, well, obviously the smart choice is to do the house. To
do the house, yeah.
Because that's much more long term than a honeymoon.
But like you definitely need to like
but then like
settle
December
down.
came and we were like, We're so depressed.
Yeah, one December, I was like, "What's wrong with me?" And like Rachel's like, "It's just like all the stress from everything, just like all coming together."
We like moved. We had the wedding. I started a new position. Like everything happened like within
all at once,
like 30 days.
Yeah.
And then we were like super stressed out. Not that it was like anything was bad about any of that. No. It's just like a lot all at once.
Yeah.
And then we're like, we need a vacation.
Yeah.
And that's why we went to Florida for like a long weekend, which was not enough.
No.
And now we don't have vacation till June.
Yep. But that's gonna be amazing though. But and then officiant and our DJ. I wanted to make sure that it chose the DJ because I was like I'm super adamant about.
That's the one thing that you were like, I'm choosing.
Yeah, like I think for me, like I just wanted to make it somebody that wasn't just your normal DJ that was just gonna come in there and be like, beep, I'm gonna play that. You know what I mean? Somebody that would know like what people are enjoying like at the time and stuff and adjust accordingly. And like this guy was great. He was a great guy.
He ended up being more than just that too. Like he was a really good like MC.
Yeah.
Like he knew things. I know before, like after we got our pictures taken and before we like came in to do the dances, he was like, "Oh, make sure you bustle your dress." Like blah blah. Like he was on top of everything.
Yeah.
And he had like a schedule planned out. He knew like when to bring the microphones.
Got his drinks and stuff, which was really cool.
Yeah, he got his drink. He was like really really good, and he was from Toronto.
Yeah.
So. And he wasn't even that much more expensive than it would have been to hire someone from here.
Which I think it was the scary part because I was like, he's all the way in Toronto. Like at any point he could just be like, yeah, the traffic's really bad.
Yeah.
And I was just like, but he ended up, it was great. So
yeah, he was really good.
The officiant, we chose, instead of choosing somebody like personal, we chose, we went on like an online thing.
Mm-hmm. There's like a directory for officiants, I'm sure any city has this, like officiants in your area,
which is really cool because Rachel mentioned that if at any point she was sick or couldn't do it, she would then have somebody else.
They have a guaranteed backup,
which is amazing.
Yeah.
So,
but she was really nice. She was an older woman, and she was super sweet. And
yeah,
we didn't want anything too fancy for the ceremony. Like neither of us are super.
We read our own vows and stuff.
Yeah,
cool.
We were like, we're gonna do our own vows, and we're gonna we want it short and sweet. We don't want people going through an hour-long ceremony. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's just not what we wanted. So that was kind of easy. We just met with her, and then we picked a few things we wanted her to say, and blah, blah, blah. I did not want a bridal shower because I just felt very uncomfortable about the idea of just being like, hey, everyone, come to my wedding, and then also give me presents and give me money at the wedding. I personally was just very uncomfortable about that. But Travis's mom really wanted to throw us, so we did have a very small bridal shower.
Yeah, it was barely anybody.
It was a couple people from your side of the family, but it was nice because they did get us a few things. Your mom got us a new pots and pans set, and we got a gift card. But it was very small, and that was good because the idea of spending all that money and planning a bridal shower on top of the wedding, I was I'm just not. If I was 19 and we didn't have a bed or sheets or anything, maybe, but we didn't need anything.
Yeah,
we were fine.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing else I wanted to touch on, major, was the worst part of planning the entire wedding that stressed me out more than anything else was guest lists and RSVPs. Mm-hmm. Everyone will tell you, and you'll probably hear me telling you right now that you'll want to rip your hair out, but you really will.
It's crazy about the RSVP.
Everyone has the worst time with it.
I think it's because so my family was you're not inviting so and so. Come on, you have to invite him. You have to invite him. You have to invite him. And I was like, we can't. There's no room.
We had a very specific. We're not having more than 100 people.
Yeah, and so finally we end up making room for these people, and of course they never showed up. And they not that they never showed up. Sorry, they said that they couldn't come.
Yeah, they're pretty much invited themselves, and then we send them invites, and they're like, "Yeah, we can't come."
And I didn't even hear an apology from from my mom, and I was just like, "Oh my god!" I'm
same thing on my side. My dad made this huge stink about his buddies from out of town, oh, they have to be there, they have to be there, they have to be there, and I'm so stressed out about it. I'm who am I gonna have to cut so that these people can come?
Yeah.
We invite them, they're like, "Oh no, we're not coming."
Yeah.
You just want to bang your head against the wall.
Yeah.
Just so frustrating. And then even just above and beyond that, people that you invite and you're okay, it's 1 month before the wedding and you still haven't RSVP'd. Are you coming? And it's like, I made it as simple as possible. Literally, they just had to click on a website and click yes.
Yeah.
It's not like they had to mail something in or, like, call me. Like, that. Like, just as soon as you get the invite, just go to the website and click yes.
Yeah.
And people I still, like, was just chasing after people. Are you coming? And then you'd get back, like, oh, we'll see. And it's like, no.
Yeah, this isn't like a...
This
isn't like come and hang out at my house
No,
party.
this is like, tell me now or you're not coming.
Yeah. So, but it was good though.
Because it was like, I needed to know because I had not invited so many people from my work because I thought all these other people were coming.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, if you're not coming, I can tell someone else they can come that I would really like to be there.
Mm-hmm. But
and then it was like, okay, well, now you have to make the seating chart. Well, Aunt so-and-so can't sit next to that person because they don't talk to each other. And you have to put this person next to this person because they're best friends. And you have to, it was like the worst game of Tetris or like the worst puzzle you've ever tried to create. And then you finally finish it and then someone's like, oh, they're not coming anymore. And then you have to like rearrange the whole table.
Mm-hmm. It's basically like, imagine being like a party planner though. Oh my God, I don't know how you would do it.
It was so stressful. By the time I finally finished and I like made my chart, my actual one that we were going to be putting up, I was like, there will be no changes. Like, if somebody says they're coming, they're not coming because I've made this and I'm not making it again.
But no, it ended up being really good. But yeah, so
most of it was not stressful. That was the only thing I think that like actually stressed me out.
Uh-huh.
It's nerve-wracking, of course. Like in the weeks leading up, I was very like stressed, I would say, just because you spend a year and a half.
Yeah, you want to make sure it all goes good.
And you just want it all to go good. And you're just like, oh, I hope I don't get sick. Like, I hope this doesn't happen. I hope that the weather's good. I hope that, like, things you can't control, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it all turned out, honestly, like...
It was really good.
Amazing.
We'll have another podcast where we actually talk about the wedding day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's our wedding preparation, pre-wedding thingamabob. So I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it.
Saber enjoyed listening.
Saber
to
did.
it.
Saber was sleeping the entire time. She's like, "This is no."
Until my foot started falling asleep and I had to lift her.
Yeah. So if you guys want to listen, you can listen for free. Obviously, if you're listening on Spotify right now, you can listen to a bunch of different places, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc., 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 etc. If you guys want to watch the video, you can watch on Patreon. You can watch it by unlocking the second tier. But also, I'm going to be periodically releasing the episodes very long out, though. Like, I just released episode 2, and how long ago did we record that?
You mean the videos?
The videos, yeah, on YouTube.
Long time ago.
Like, very long. So... They will eventually be released to YouTube, but it'll take a very long time because obviously I want to have Patreon exclusive for VODs. So if you're expecting to have them anytime soon, it won't be for a very long time for that stuff. But they will be released. It just will take a long time.
I will try to find those pictures of me in various wedding dresses.
Yeah.
And for Patreon users, I want
to see them anyways.
I'll put them in the Patreon exclusive Discord.
Yeah, so if you're
after the episode's released, I'll wait for people to have like a chance to listen to it, and then
our next episode will probably be like a regular episode, and then the episode after that, we could go back to the wedding situation. Might be pretty cool to do that. Yeah. So we will see you guys next week on episode 17. Thanks again for listening.
He just had to look and check.
Yeah, I was like, episode 17?
What episode it was.
And yeah, so I don't know if we can get Nick back for next episode. But I'm going to see if he's willing to do another podcast.
If not him, maybe we can get someone else.
Yeah, maybe. So it should be pretty fun. Cool. Okay, we'll see you guys next one. And don't forget to stick around.
No.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Wrong thing.